Hi there. You're watching Conversationality, a biweekly show brought to you by Optionality, your community exploring the now of work. I am Jory Desjardins, co-founder of Optionality. With me is Elisa Camahort Page,
Hello.
co-founder of Optionality. Hi.
We are,
And we are recording. Sorry, Elisa.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. And today we are having an asynchronous discussion about the homework for the week in our Roadmap to Restoration course.
So we introduced at the beginning of the year, we evolved how optionality was working. So we now have a no cost community membership, but we also are offering we are kind of formalizing these working groups and sprints that we were doing for premium members. We're adding more structure and curriculum around them, and we're offering them to premium members included, but also a la carte for people who want to do them on their, just that and not buy into the premium membership yet. While you're taking the sprint, you can check out the whole community. And the other thing is that you'll be able to access it afterwards. It's totally possible to do it asynchronously. We are meeting every week live, but we're recording the instructional portions of that and sharing it. So it's possible if you can't meet at the time we've chosen, or you don't want to do this kind of work in community with others, you can just get good stuff. So we are officially kind of halfway through. We've had 3 weeks of homework unveiled, and we have 3 more weeks to go, 3 more sessions. And so what we've been doing, it's called Roadmap to Restoration, and it's really based on a post Jory wrote about needing restoration, and then another post Jory wrote about kind of picking her words for the year. Do you always pick words for the year? Because I never have done that.
No, I haven't always done it, but I was doing so much internal work and a lot of writing, and certain words I kept noticing were cropping up. And I started to notice them in other people's work too that I found interesting. So I just started to kind of pick them out as I called them, as I saw them.
Yeah, I think the word restoration resonated with me so much when you used it, because I feel like 2025 as a year was just tearing down, tearing away at so many things. And some of it was tangible. I mean, some of it was about there's a lot of uncertainty in the job marketplace. There's a lot of uncertainty in the stock market. There's a lot of uncertainty because of our government, in across the world as well. But part of it is just emotional. Like when so many things are going on all the time that are stressful. And I'm not just talking about, if you know me, I'm probably talking partly about politics, but I'm not just talking about that. I'm talking about last year, the caregiving with my mom, my significant other had some medical things that were going on. Like there was just a lot going on. And I felt like I was just being torn away at, and I felt like, how do I, the word restoration sounded like something I really needed to do in more than one area of my life. And so it was this idea of like, how can we help people, even though tough times won't necessarily go away? How do we help them restore some sense of whatever it is they need to restore? And for me, I think it was clarity. I don't pick words, but the words that kind of jumped out at me was like, I wanted to restore my sense of clarity about what I wanted to do and
That
how I
was one
wanted
of
to do it,
mine for
and,
sure.
and my sense of confidence that that I can, if I decide, if I would just get clear on what I want to do, I could go out and do it. And then just a general sense of restoring my sense of, I guess, motivation. I mean, like when you're depleted, it's hard to feel motivated. But
Well,
there are a lot
right.
of
I
other
think
words.
we've been talking a lot about this whole idea of things that are hustle coded. And I think what I was reacting to is at the end of the year, it's always about, well, what are you going to do? How are you going to fix your life and your world? And I'm like, I don't feel like doing anything right now. I feel like I need to go and just take a break and think and rest. And then I can think about
Yeah.
what's next, right? And I think that really resonated with a lot of people.
Yeah. And so when we're thinking about, well, how do we turn this into something that isn't hustle coded, by the way? Because you do use the word like sprint, and that suggests running and like,
Yes.
um, and and so we were like, that need for reflection before action was something that we really wanted to include. So before the live sessions even started, we started with pre-sprint homework, which was all about reflection. And luckily, we are colleagues and friends with lots of really smart people. So we didn't have to make all this stuff up ourselves. We worked with people like Octavia Goradima, and Claire Wasserman and Joanna Bloor and other folks to get Bronwyn, my friend Bronwyn Saglimbeni. I apologize, Bronwyn. Oh my God. Um, they had been coming up. They had been in the same mindset as you, I feel like, where they were like, how do I reflect on this year and try to at least gain something from what was a tough year? And so the whole pre-homework was about that kind of reflection. And I told you this story, Jory, about how I fed my 2025 reflection into my favorite AI tool, Claude, and asked it to synthesize for me. And I just wanted to see, I got the idea from you. What will it do with this? Like what? And it would like, man, it was hard on me. And it was because it was all what I put in was not confident or was not really appreciating the good things that had happened. I as much as I said I was going to just talk about what happened and not assign good or bad to it, I obviously came in with a mindset that it picked up on. And then when it came at me saying, you've been really doing this, this, and this, you need to get it together, basically, I was like, hey, wait a minute. And it made me defend myself to basically myself. It was a really interesting exercise. That was something I got out of doing all of that pre-reflection, was to be like, oh, well, you can think you're being objective, but you are not.
That's right. Yeah. So I believe it was, I said, Elisa, you have to defend yourself
Yeah,
to chat. But that is an exercise in and of itself. It's like, well, hold on a minute. I
exactly.
did this and this and this, and I had this. And once it knew all of your data, once it understood the
Yes.
context, it gave you a very different answer.
Yes. I started out saying way harsh, Claude. Like, I didn't do nothing. Like, I was like, wow. So then I gave it a fuller picture. And then it came back and had a very different interpretation. And it was
Yeah.
very instructive. So I was still doing this when I was testing out the materials before we pushed it live. And I'm like, you know what? I know in our community, there are folks who are using AI heavily, and there are folks who are not using AI at all. And I understand all the reasons for all of the above. And so every week's homework has like an optional, just if you want to try AI, to try something in this topic area. And so I added a little exercise. Go feed these documents into whatever AI tool you want to use and ask it. And I gave it some prompts about what you might ask it about, what it can learn about you from you. And because I just found it really eye-opening. And then the next week's was about really, okay, you've reflected on where you are, where do you want to get? And so there's some worksheets about, identifying where's your energy going, where do you want to invest more, what is depleting to you, what is energizing to you, what's your North Star, things like this that are about like, what's the vision for what you want to accomplish in 2026. What did you feel like once you had to sit down and do that? What did you feel like you realized you wanted that maybe you hadn't really articulated before?
Well, and by the way, I took all of my worksheets that I did in the pre-work and week one, and every week I've been doing that, just dumping them in to ChatGPT and saying, hey, here's just notes. Store this for your reference. And what's been great is that everything I've done since then, it refers back to, well, don't forget, you mentioned, right, that this was a priority. So I'm starting to see where my time was bumping up against what I said I wanted and what's not consistent, because it does just repeat what you're saying and what you're sharing. And so I'll say, oh, here's an opportunity and I want, please analyze it. Well, Jory, when you gave me that material, it doesn't quite say it that way, but in essence, it's saying you already have told me what you want. So let's analyze this and assess based on what you said you wanted. And it's been very eye-opening seeing the
Wow.
disconnect between what I say I want and what I do and what I put my time into. So I've been really pulling it and trying to be more
Hmm.
consistent
I
with
feel
what
like
I'm doing.
I feel like our culture has become very I think in today's session someone mentioned, you know, separating what other people want from you and versus what you want, and knowing when sometimes you have to do what other people want. It's time bound, it's urgent, whatever, but a lot of times you don't. But
Yeah.
I feel like it's not just people that do that to you, it's the culture that does that to you. Oh, if someone comes and asks you about if you want to participate in this, that sounds like a good opportunity, of course you should do that. And then I'm like, half the time I get these things and I'm like, actually I don't really want to go do that. Like it's nice, like nice someone thought of me for that, but how does that help me? Like is it going to be worth, and it, part of it is looking at the energy equation differently. In certain stages of my life, my energy equation probably would have been like, sure, I can go do that, even though it'll make it really tight. I have this other thing and this other thing. I can squeeze it in. I could do this. I could do that. And now I'm more like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to run to three things in 3 hours in three places. Like, no. And that's sort of an easy example, like of a physical running three places, but it's mental too. It's like, I don't actually want to put myself through that.
Yeah.
Um,
I'll,
and so,
I'll say I feel, and perhaps it's restored, but I feel much more on mission. Like there's not a lot of energy leakage happening on a regular basis. Like I'm used to just leaking all over the place.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Energy leakage. Look,
Energy leakage.
we're only 3 weeks in, and you have been restored.
Yeah. Well, it's a work in progress, but
Yeah.
I definitely feel where I'm bumping up against old habits and actually being more mindful about it so that I'm not falling into the traps that I have fallen into
Mm,
relating to energy and feeling off mission and doing things that are off brand, but I didn't define the brand, hence the clarity. What
yes.
is
Yeah.
on brand for me, right? Like I couldn't have told you that
Yeah.
2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
and it's
Oh,
been
that's
much clearer. Yeah.
um, so what's still coming with the sprint is the next phase, which is turning these ideas and insights and reflections into next steps that feel tangible and reasonable and productive. And part of it was in the first couple of weeks, we asked everyone to kind of narrow it down. Don't tell me everything you want to restore. Don't tell me every goal you might have. Let's pick a couple, right? Because that's my problem is I could do this, I could do that, I could do this, I could do that, I could do these 17 things. And I'm just going to try and do them all at once. That's what
Yes.
could go wrong. What could go wrong? Everything. So the narrowing I think is important. But so now we're going more into a phase of, okay, so what will fill the gap between where you are today and where you say you want to be? And we kind of break it into two groups of ideas. One is people, like your network, and the people who can help you, and how can they help you, and understanding that. And then the second portion is going to be, well, what can help you? Is it learning something, skills? Is it capital? Is it a system? I think for me a lot of it is sometimes systems, tools. Like if I just put the right systems around me, I operate much more in clockwork. But when I do everything I do a little differently than how I do the other thing. It's not good for my brain and how it works. So that's not something I always knew. I
So it's
didn't.
adding teeth to all the learnings, all, you could know where you sit, and then what to do about it is a very different thing. And I have the opposite problem where I do, but I hadn't been as clear. So hopefully in the next week we will start to move in and I'll share what I've been working on to help me just stay closer and not just do, but
Yes.
doing it meaningfully, and also keeping in mind that we have different things working. Sometimes it could be a client. Other times it's a big, fat, hairy, audacious goal or project we haven't quite figured out yet. So how do we move that forward in a way that is appropriate to where we are, and that doesn't over rotate before we're ready on it? And for me, that's always been a struggle. I get like you, I get excited about many things at once. So I've got to just move it all forward at the same time. And then I got nothing, right?
Right,
Or I'm just
right.
exhausted, I'm overwhelmed. This is about pacing yourself and knowing where this sits in your pipeline of opportunities.
Yeah. The 3 weeks from now, I guess that the session, I really wanted us to tackle this roadmap concept. I used to be in product management and you lived and died by your roadmap. And your roadmap was really had it was a timeline for sure, but it also captured dependencies. So
Mm.
you knew if this fell out, this was never going to happen. Could be two different groups or two different people, but this needed that. It was a dependency. And I took one of our optionality members who's taking this, is doing the sprint, but is also contributing to the sprint is Jeannie Grotto. And she did a little free course, or not even a course, a webinar about communications planning. And there was a calendar, and the exercise was, and she agreed to let me use it for the sprint because I found it so useful. The calendar was kind of winnowing and winnowing and winnowing for me, because I started out saying, I'm going to do all these things. And then when I had to really put it in a calendar reflecting real time, real energy, and kind of noting what else we had going on, I was like, why am I setting myself up for this? And it included even to the topic of like your optionality driven life can include your personal life and your personal endeavors. This we have had sort of not a tradition, but our routine the last couple of years with optionality has been, what, summer, we pull back a little on how much content we're creating, how much convening we're doing, and December, we pull back a little. And when I filled out this this roadmap, basically, I was like, why am I acting like I want to do these 5 things for the summer? I don't want to do them. And I was like, I need to winnow. I need to winnow. I need to winnow. Because you know what? Having that periods built in for a little bit of rest and rejuvenation and being more chill, that's good for me. And it's good for you and it's good for us. And so road mapping, you get all these bright ideas, all these experiments, all these things you can do, all these processes to implement. But road mapping in an actual real life calendar based on your real life, like really gives you a little bit of a reality check on what you're planning and what you can do.
For sure. So we will be road mapping in the next week or so. But even if you're not joining us in real time, you can always join us asynchronously.
Yes.
We designed the course so that you could take it whenever you want. You can take the lessons you want, but ideally you take them in order because they do build off of each other.
Yeah, they do. But so far it's been, they say build what you want to see in the world. And this is, it's been helpful for the members who are taking the sprint, but it's also been really helpful for me. I know. And I've learned some things about myself.
Me too. And the thing I probably love the most about this, in addition to the fact that it's helping me in my own journey, is that we've been able to leverage so many great conversations we've already had with
Yes.
people in our community. Where, I mean, I've seen Elisa's been great at mining the trove of content, and I'll be like, oh, right. She
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
talk about that. That was a great conversation, and seeing how we can actually use this trove of
Right.
wisdom.
So many wise people have said so
Oh,
many smart
yeah,
things in all of our webinars and conversationalities. So thank you everybody for checking us out. And you can still, all the links will be in the show notes about where you can still go check out this sprint. And then we'll be doing a couple more during the year. And we hope to see you join us on Optionality. Have a great week. Where's oh, there. Oh my God.